In the heart of the city, a river that once pulsed with industry sat forgotten, neglected, its potential hidden beneath decades of industrial decay. But the river's story was far from over. It all started with an idea, a vision of what the river could be. But dreams like this require more than vision. They require struggle and determination. And for decades, the river's transformation would be a battle. By the mid-20th century, much of Tampa's riverfront had become a shadow of its former self. Industrial buildings, piers, and warehouses that had once supported a thriving economy now lay abandoned or underused. The once bustling waterfront, now isolated from the city, was in desperate need of renewal. In the 1970s, the idea of creating a public riverwalk was first introduced as part of an effort to revitalize the area. Tampa Mayor Bill Poe played a significant role in imagining a park and walkway along the Hillsborough River, which would reconnect the community to its waterfront. The early vision for the Riverwalk faced immediate challenges due to financial constraints.
I tried to do it. The Riverwalk is going to be a great thing. I think I put about 10 planks in. We stopped, and I said, good Lord, we don't have the budget. We can't do this kind of stuff. And so we did not.
By the time Pam Iorio took office in 2003, Tampa's downtown was still struggling. Although the city's economy was recovering, there was a growing public appetite for urban renewal, and waterfront development was becoming increasingly popular in cities across the country. The project's financing remained contentious. Securing the necessary funding, particularly a $20 million fundraising campaign, while competing for state and federal grants, posed significant hurdles. The Riverwalk also faced competition for attention and funding from other pressing public projects. Furthermore, the economic downturn of the late 2000s, along with the global financial crisis of 2008, cast doubt on whether the project could ever be fully realized. Mayors Martinez, Friedman, and Greco added the Tampa Convention Center, Florida Aquarium, the Waterside Marriott, and Coton-Chobe Fort Brooke Park to bring the public to the riverfront. But the story is far from finished.
We built upon what Mayor Greco had acquired for the city. Then we did our part, and then Mayor Buckhorn added key elements to the Riverwalk, and now Mayor Castor is expanding it even more to the west side. It's that continuity and vision of leaders that really creates tangible progress for our residents, which is what it's all about.
Every mayor since Bill Poe has done their share and done a portion. For some, it was a higher priority than others. For me, it was the highest priority.
I think that one of the beautiful aspects of the city of Tampa is that they've had sort of the right mayor at the right time, and each mayor has built off of the progress from the previous mayor.
It very much was like a relay. Each mayor passed it on to the next mayor, and sometimes a lot got done, sometimes not much got done, but certainly in the last couple decades it really gained momentum. But it was really interesting to see this sort of legacy of all these mayors who'd had a hand in it.
In 2002, mayoral candidate Pam Iorio promised to push forward with the Riverwalk project if elected. Mayor Iorio focused heavily on urban renewal and the development of the Riverwalk as a central feature of the city's downtown. She won the election and took office in 2003, immediately setting the Riverwalk project back into motion.
It was the first week in office. Actually, it was my first day that a staff person put on my desk a development agreement to sign that had not been signed by the previous mayor. It was really just a mistake that he hadn't signed it. And it was to give the go-ahead for a condo tower to be developed on Curtis Hickson Park. And that wasn't my administration's vision. We had a different vision. And it wasn't without controversy, for sure. I mean, a lot of controversy. But the first thing is I didn't sign that because I just don't believe that we put a private condominium on public parkland. What Mayor Poe had the vision for is that the river should be accessible to people, period. And he called this Riverwalk. Then I think Mayor Martinez ushered in the idea of real redevelopment along the river. The convention center could have gone anywhere. He chose that to redevelop the downtown to be a catalyst. It wasn't until Mayor Greco that the idea came that, okay, Marriott, you want to come and be a hotel, you've got to build this sidewalk out here that we're going to call the Riverwalk. And then Mayor Greco bought Cote and Chobe Park, the land that Cote and Chobe parks on. And again, we're going to put this sidewalk in this, and we're going to call this the Riverwalk. So we decided that it was time that the Riverwalk came to fruition and that we connected in a way that also connected the various assets within our city. So we said, you know when your end date is as mayor, and said, look, one thing that's really important to me is that one, that we have the master plan that we can hand off to future mayors, and two, that we have that entire stretch from Channelside to the Straz Center permitted with the Army Corps of Engineers. Particularly that one area at the Curtis Dixon Waterfront Park that went off past the Sheraton. I said, that way, if money ever comes, it'll be permitted. Well, sure enough, that's exactly what happened, because when Mayor Buckhorn was in office and they had the stimulus money, it was construction ready because it was totally permitted. And that's why we were eligible for that money in order to build that segment. And that segment was critical. I was so pleased when Mayor Buckhorn just continued that investment, because that segment is what connected Curtis Dixon Waterfront Park to the USF and McDill Park, which then went on into Channelside. So without that, it was really rough. You didn't have that connectivity, but he got that done, and I was so pleased.
By 2014, former Mayor Bob Buckhorn reached a major milestone when a federal transportation grant was awarded. The grant funded the completion of the Kennedy Boulevard extension, connecting several previously isolated sections of the Riverwalk into a continuous 2-mile-long path.
Bear in mind, when I came into office in 2011, we were mired in the worst recession since the Great Depression. Our property tax revenues did not rebound to 2009 numbers until 2019. So my entire time as the mayor, we literally had no money. And so we had to really be creative in terms of getting the seed corn, if you will, the funding or the grants to do big projects like this. And so Mayor Iorio had started pursuing grants in Washington, D.C. through the Department of Transportation called Tiger Grants. Tiger Grants are usually used to fund transportation-related projects. Mayor Iorio was turned down in a very, very competitive process. And so when I came into office, we went after that Tiger Grant really, really hard. So we really worked our Washington, D.C. connections. And we had to make the case to the grant givers that a Riverwalk, while it's not a traditional transportation project, if you look about how it's going to be connecting areas of employment to areas of housing and creating alternative opportunities for people to move through the urban core, that they need to look at this in a different way. And so I think we were turned down one more time, and I think when we went back the third time, we were able to succeed and get, I believe it turned out to be about a $10 or $11 million grant from the federal government, which we then married to $4 million that I put into it from the city, which gave us the resources to do the last and largest leg and literally connect the dots. I mean, it took a lot of work and a lot of relationship building and a lot of lobbying. We would not have been successful had Bill Poe in 1974 had the idea of selling wooden planks where people could buy and put their families' names on it to begin the construction of that Riverwalk. Every mayor since Bill Poe has done their share and done a portion. For some, it was a higher priority than others. For me, it was the highest priority. But I couldn't have done what I did had it not been for Bill Poe and Bob Martinez and Sandy Friedman and Dick Greco and Pam Iorio. And now Mayor Castor will finish the work that the rest of us started and get the West River project completed.
So the truth is, for all the gains that Tampa's made, we are a city without much public transportation. That's been a sore point for this city, and any connectivity that you can create, which is certainly what the map of the plan, the long-term plan for the Riverwalk, I think it's 6 segments that they hope to add, 6 miles altogether, that can only help. We walk here, we bike here, we have the weather for it. People who don't have cars need safe ways to get places. It's like we're finally acknowledging that, it's Florida and people like to walk and people like to run and people like to ride bikes and all that kind of thing. And some people, don't have a choice. That's the way they get from place to place. And I just think if the city keeps its commitment to continuing that, it'll just provide so much more connectivity to neighborhoods that maybe don't have it so much.
When Jane Castor took office in 2019, community development became a key focus. One challenge with the Riverwalk's expansion was ensuring it benefited all residents. The expansion into West Tampa, with its rich history and diverse community, aims to improve connection and accessibility, offering residents easier access to jobs and greater community engagement.
So when I took office, the Riverwalk was really an attraction, not only for conventioneers, conferences, tourists, but also a place for the community, the Tampa Bay region, to be able to utilize it. And the possibility or the idea of expanding the Riverwalk to the west side, not just based on the same functionality, but to expand it. It can be used for placemaking, it can be used for community gathering, but it can also be used as a mode of transportation. It can be used as a way to connect people to jobs in the downtown area. It also brings the east side downtown connected to the west side of Tampa, and also connecting the entire city from there. So whenever someone sets foot on the Riverwalk, it's going to be a different experience. No matter how many times you traverse or where you're at, you're going to have a different experience. You're going to see different individuals. You may be there for a variety of reasons. You may be there to catch a pirate taxi. You may be there on a historic tour. You may be there for exercise purposes. Whatever it is that fulfills your need, every experience is different on the Riverwalk, and it really brings our community together, and it sort of peels back the diversity and shows what a diverse community we are in the experiences that you can have along the Riverwalk. Ultimately, the legacy for the Riverwalk is going to come down to one word: connection. Connecting people to each other. It really is an opportunity to connect people with all that makes Tampa great. The Riverwalk is just beginning to reach its potential. I see it becoming a centerpiece of Tampa, where the past, present, and future of our city meet.